I'm Miss Clark. Are you the new art teacher at the school?
No. I'm a senior here at the school. My name is Evan Hansen.
You're a senior in high school?
Yeah.
Are you okay? You seem very uncomfortable.
Stealing focus!
Greetings, fellow kids. Here I am, normal high schooler Emily Clark, and I am here with my two buddies.
I'm Gerald!
And I'm Cody.
And we are here because as a normal high school relatable kid, you know, just awkward and not good with other people, and I hunch my shoulders over.
Just like every teenager.
Just like everyone.
I thought it would be really fun for us to see the film version of Dear Evan Hansen. So Cody, Gerald, and I have thoughts about the musical, but I gotta be honest with you, I've never seen the stage version. Have you seen the stage version?
No, same. I've never seen it.
I've heard like the entire album, and I had the book explained to me, but I've never seen the show.
You had it explained to you. How much fun is that?
Yeah, it's so great.
So we are enlisting the help of one of our dear friends, a dear stealing focus friend, the wonderful, genius, brilliant, fabulous, handsome, charismatic Jess McAnally of Musicals with Cheese.
Yay! I did not expect such a very nice introduction. Wow.
Oh yeah,
I'm so happy to be here.
Yay! You are our resident young, and also you know Dear Evan Hansen, the stage show, right?
Yeah, backwards and forwards, unfortunately. Not as a fan, but as someone that's had to do a lot of research on it. Let me put that caveat.
Right. I think you guys have a video about it too.
Yes. Here's a link wherever this will pop up.
Somewhere there's a link.
Wow.
Yeah, check it out. But have you seen the stage show, or you at least know it?
I've seen Yo Ho Piracy. But
yeah.
I got tickets to see the national tour, and then the world shut down.
The COVID of it all.
Oh man.
Yeah. Okay. So, but we've all seen the movie.
Yes.
Okay, so coming from a purely outsider from the show perspective,
And outside looking in,
because I'm tap. I think there are two major problems with the film that kind of doomed the whole project.
Yeah.
One would be kind of the plot itself. And the second, I'm really sorry to say because he's getting so much flack, but it's Ben Platt. What did you guys think?
Well, I coming from this as someone that knows the musical very well, and I think it's a significant improvement in a lot of ways.
Do they fix stuff with the book?
Significantly, so much so that I think it removes a lot of what was insanely pants about the musical and turns the movie into nothing but something fairly dull. And I'm actually shocked at the critical reaction to it, because it feels par for the course with like the 13 Reasons Why stuff. I mean, it can't just all be Ben Platt, can it?
And I was just watching some Tony footage and some live performances of him playing Evan Hansen on stage, and he looks great. Like, it works. It does work. You buy that he's young. He does the appropriate acting for the stage. Obviously, he always sounds amazing, and he does sound amazing in the film because he's an amazing singer.
He's a really good
But
put a little star in that. I'm gonna come back to that a little bit later.
Asterisk, stick a pen. But he's doing basically the same performance. It seems to me he's doing the appropriate acting for the back row of like the mezzanine, for that proscenium to be there.
The thing that was jarring about his performance too, don't you think, is that nobody else was really doing that. He was the only one who was kind of singing to the rafters and doing that kind of thing, and everybody else was being a little more subtle with what they were doing because they were in a movie.
It's okay. So, does it end differently? Because in the movie, he reveals the lie.
Thank goodness.
And then, he basically, I mean, I don't know. He kind of gets away with it. He just, I mean, like, no one presses any charges, so I mean, that's good. And
He's like a pariah now, but
yeah,
no
but
really
he's like more
long-term-
comfortable with
Yeah.
himself. I mean, I don't know. He seems more all his tics are gone by the end of the movie.
Oh, yeah, that's
so
true.
I noticed that
He
was
stands up a
interesting.
little straighter, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice hunch.
yeah, and again, the physicality, which he has the hunch and the thing with his hand and the really crazy eye expressions and facial expressions that he
God,
does for
totally.
everything, which
Ugh.
again, in theater world, that's great. Like, that's what you want to see. You want to see that physical manifestation of his anxiety. But in a film, when the camera's right there, you can do it in so many subtle ways. Like, Gerald has more subtlety than Ben Platt in this movie.
Mhm. I want to bring that up because that is a good thing to bring up. What you said, Cody, about how no one else is doing that. It dawned on me by the time we hit the second song in the show that they had cut all the like bigger numbers for, as Twitter is calling it, the MILF Brigade, where
Yes!
you've got these incredible singers, actresses there, and they had songs in the stage show that are not there. But it dawned
Why
on
are
me.
we not using our Amy Adams appropriately?
It's so sad.
I'm gonna bring back that. But halfway through For Forever, I literally sat there and was like, "Oh, this is every song. Every song is a Ben Platt ballad. Oh no, this is a prelude for every song we're gonna get." And God, if I weren't accurate right there, every song is shot the same way, and the director had so much faith that, oh yeah, Ben Platt's face is gonna be enough to sell the emotional context of this.
I think that Pasek and Paul's like evil genius is their ability to write really good hooks. Like, it's the Andrew Lloyd Webber syndrome.
Really
It's like
catchy.
really catchy songs. You know, I'm a sucker for a lot of songs from The Greatest Showman. I'm not gonna lie.
It's got the music.
It's got good music, and this. I've heard a lot of these songs divorced from the show in cabarets over the year because they're great for singers and they're great contained story songs in a lot of
from
ways.
their actual context.
Removed from their context, it's just like a nice little story song that you could hear once and be like, wow, what a great cabaret song, you know? But when you line them all up next to each other, and I've heard some of those other Parent songs, you take out those other ones, it just sounds like the same song over and over and over again. And there's no underscoring anywhere else. So they'll be in the middle of an intimate indie movie scene, and then all of a sudden you'll hear the strains of music, and you're like, well, here it comes. And then it's the same thing. It's, have you ever been alone in a room and never had a face to look at? So I'm walking down the hall with conviction and conviction. Now a metaphor I repeat in the bridge, and a metaphor I repeat in the bridge, and a metaphor that I repeat in the bridge. Scoring
And I'm
drops
back to
out.
the original point.
Yeah, scoring drops out. And I'm in a higher key, and I'm still feeling bad, and I'm still feeling bad. Why does nobody notice me? And then big high note, like, notice me. And then nothing, and then, why does no one notice me? It's the same thing every single time. And I was getting so, like, the audience started laughing every time. There was a chuckle every time that music would start, because they all were just like,
Yep.
And here it is. Here's the same exact thing again.
It was almost like making fun of a musical in some
Yes.
ways. Like,
Reviewers are like, this is one of the worst musicals I've ever seen. And for me, it's worse. It's bad in the worst way. It's not like fun. Like, I had fun watching Cats. You know, Cats is bad, but we all had fun watching Cats. This was like, I was like in a time loop. Or like, I was watching a story where I was like, I feel like I hate the overuse of this term, but I feel like I'm being gaslit. Why is the underscoring so inspirational and major key when we're seeing this haunted boy man lie to this grieving family?
Let's talk about
boring.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gerald was snoring. He just fell asleep.
So boring.
So boring.
But the premise alone would not work in this film version. And one of the reasons why I think it works slightly better in the film than it does in the musical is Amy Adams is doing the work. I was confused when that casting announcement was announced, where Amy Adams is playing Connor's mom, because I feel like, oh, really, Evan's mom feels like the one that would suit that. But then I watched the movie and realized that is the hardest role to play in this entire story. The one with the most like gravitas and emotional connection. So much that I felt like Evan and Connor's mom had more of a romantic connection than Evan and Zoe.
Okay, that song about what is it? The song where he's singing if I could tell her.
Yeah.
Ew.
That is such a creepy song, because if I heard that my brother was saying those things about me without me knowing, I would be like, I'm really concerned about my brother. Does my brother have a crush on me?
Yeah,
Because
it's
he's
really weird.
basically just singing about crushing things. She's just like really buying it because
What
she's
are
being
you doing,
manipulated.
stepbrother?
It's so weird. And going back to Amy Adams though, Jess, like one of the biggest things that makes Ben Platt stand out is that every single other person in the cast is a good actor and is a good movie actor, and a lot of them are really good singers too. I thought, I love Caitlin Dever. I think she's really great. I thought Amanda Stenberg was really good. Like, I thought obviously all the parents were good.
What's the name of the guy who played Connor? He was great.
I loved
Colton Ryan.
I loved him. He was my favorite part of the movie.
Played
I loved
Evan.
him.
He
I
should have played him. He looked
loved
younger.
Yeah, he was so good. I wanted more of him.
Yeah.
And okay, so there's that duet. Is that duet in the show with the two of them where they're writing the emails?
Oh yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
it is.
yeah. And can we please just talk about what this movie did changes wise to the character of Jared and how those emails interact with the story?
Please,
Yes,
because I have no idea.
So Jared in the movie is gay. He is a gay kid. In the musical, he is played by Will Rowland, strictly heterosexual incel type. Like the line, like, what is that school shooter chic? Jared says that to Connor. So Jared is a much more mean, prickly character, and he's very homophobic, meaning like that, but not because we're gay.
Yeah.
Like him trying to make fun of Evan for being gay because there's something wrong with being gay.
And I thought that was cute in the movie. Like, I thought like his relationship to that, like, that made it cute. It was like he knew what was up.
Right. So I thought that worked a lot better here,
Yeah.
and that was a good choice they made.
Good.
However, that also means that Jared disappears from the movie after like the midpoints because they didn't want to keep all the pricklier stuff he does in Act 2, where he is just like evil.
I thought he was going to be the one to reveal the lie.
Yes.
Does he reveal the
that
lie
makes
in the
sense.
show, or does Evan always do it? I mean, I'm
No.
glad Evan does it, but I thought he was the one who did it with him. He was the one sitting on it. They even showed some foreshadowing of him being like,
It was
you know?
threatened, but it's kind of shown that he's just as alone as Evan, and they kind of get into like a slightly more physical altercation. But there is a blow up where he's like, "Why do you even care?" Like and he's like, "Because I just wanted to be a part of something." Like just showing that he's just as alone as Evan was, despite being like this weird, horrible incel. Like he's basically just another Connor.
but that duet of theirs,
Yes.
where they're writing the emails, to me, I was like, if this was a different musical, if this musical had gone a darker route, it felt like it honestly felt like a little Priest to me. Like that intention that like, let's go real black comedy with this, where we know this is bad, but that's a story we're telling. And I feel like it, out of the whole show, or at least out of the movie, it stuck out like a sore thumb when it came to the final product, because there was no other songs like that. And it was nice to have something to break up the tension and be kind of funny. And I was like, oh, this is kind of funny. And again, Colton Ryan is so dynamic that I was like, I could watch this kid for days. He's amazing. But then there was nothing else in the movie like that. And then Evan is portrayed as this sweet, misunderstood boy, and instead of a manipulator. And I was like, this is more interesting though. I don't know.
Yeah.
That was the only time that I really was having like a lot of fun.
Like fun.
Watching the movie.
Right.
It wasn't trying to, I don't know,
Take itself seriously.
or explain why these horrible things were happening, or like the melodrama of the thoughts behind the characters while they think about doing these horrible things.
And it was utilizing the medium of musical theater and fantasy in a fun way. Whereas kind of everything else in the show is just straightforward, like we're in a scene. Maybe we're flashing back to that same shot of Oh, Ben
trees.
Platt running in the trees and
He's ghoulish.
just like that.
That's what he looks like. He looks like one of my people.
I mean, okay, and did we all notice the CGI smoothing technology in some of the shots?
Yes, and the foundation. Like, the first shot is like an extreme close-up of Ben Platt's face, and I'm like, ooh, I could just smear that right off your face, my friend.
Yeah, and I don't know how, and then the lighting, there's just horrible lighting over his head all the time that make the curls put these shadows on his face.
Yeah.
But I don't know how he would have solved that, because I feel like if he had his hair short, like he originally had, it would just be even more apparent that he's really old. He's not even really old, but like
He's too old for the part, and the other characters look their appropriate ages. It's just
Yeah.
And they're all of comparable ages to him too. Colton Ryan's like a year younger than him, and
Is he? Ooh.
yeah, I looked it up. It just,
He does not look it.
Caitlin Dever's, I think, a few years younger than him, but
Yeah.
she just looks young.
and it still looked gross when they kissed.
Oh, I hate it. Cody, oh, we were like this with that duet where whatever.
I can't even remember.
Oh, can we talk about how, okay, their first kiss in the movie is in after the song Only Us.
Yes,
And
yes.
it is very consensual, very welcome. She comes to his house, goes into his bedroom. That was not their first kiss in the musical.
What
their
is
first
it in the
kiss
musical?
Is right after If I Could Tell Her, where he just fucking plants one on her without her consent, and she's like, I'm going to my room, tell my parents I'm not coming downstairs. And then we don't see her and Evan together again until after You Will Be Found. She's like, you giving me my brother back. And we end Act 1 on them making out. That is what happens in the musical, you guys. Evan Hansen is a monster in the musical, and they brought it to a much more manageable level.
Jess, I was thinking, I was watching this movie and I was going, there were moments that were extremely creepy and just bad. Are you okay?
I'm stunned.
I know, yeah. There are moments where I was like, this is gross, but then I was like, but I could see this working on stage. I could see people buying this stuff. You suspend disbelief, you ride the emotion when you're watching theater.
Right.
But hearing that they fixed all these problems and that the stage version is worse. Yeah. I don't keep explaining. I never got into this show. When it came out, I was teaching middle schoolers who were obsessed with it. And again, all I heard were a few of these songs that were kind of catchy. And I was like, oh, okay, it's about, kind of a boy who can't relate and mental health, and that's fine. And then I hear about what this show actually is in its stage incarnation. And it... that's a horrible message. Like, Grease is dumb. Grease has a horrible message, but it's a cartoon.
Yeah.
Rent is harmless in the long run, and it meant something to the people at the time. This, it's like actively teaching very bad lessons. And I think the movie is, you're right, like the movie is an improvement.
You could just change the name to Gaslighting, the musical.
Liar, exclamation point.
Yeah, the new Liar, Liar 2.
Okay, so the stage show I heard focuses more on has more of the parents' perspective, right? I look at the song list and there are songs that are cut. I've heard that song, Anybody Have a Map, which is great. I can't believe they would cut that, especially again when you have your Amy Adams, but okay.
It took away, like, even without the song, there was scenes that I think needed to be in this movie. Specifically, that scene gave us how the family interacts with Connor. Like, how does Zoe react to him being the way he is? How does his mom justify these actions in the thing? How is the dad kind of distant? It was so much good storytelling in that scene where you kind of got Connor, his frustrations at home, and the family's frustrations at having to deal with him. And we never see a single scene with Connor with anyone outside of Evan in this movie, which I think is a very, very bad move on the
Yeah, there's one part where Zoe walks by and goes like this.
Yeah.
And that was it.
My brother.
Yeah.
He's a psychopath.
Yeah, it's just like nepotism is a thing in the business. It always has been. And I don't usually harp on it too much because a lot of times it's just life. That's just life. but this really does feel like a vanity project when you when you think about all these other elements that were cut. Like, this is hubris incarnate, I feel. Like, this is flying too close to the sun and his face is melting off, and I feel bad for him because I've heard that he's like inconsolable, and I don't blame him because it's really on him.
It is.
Man, that poor guy.
I know.
The poor guy with his Tonys and his money and his riches and his.
I know, but like,
I'm sorry.
Of course, of course, he's gonna be fine. But then again, I would feel bad like that. I mean, to just have the whole internet completely shitting on you and it being completely your fault. That's got to take you down a few pegs, at least I hope.
No,
I don't think the internet's picking on him as much for him being in the movie, as much as his very, very terrible response when people brought up criticisms of him being in the movie, which is like, oh, the movie wouldn't exist without me, so y'all should get over it, watch Grease. If he was just like, they thought since so many people were connected to the musical that I was a logical fit, we thought we could maybe make it work. We'll see what happens. That would have been a fine response. But he's like, well, I started this. They don't know the history. I've been here the whole time, so it's my role.
You have a strong and valid point.
And see, that's bad. That's a bad response. Yeah. Lynn had the wherewithal to not play Usnavi, and in the Heights, he was like, I don't want to do this, and he didn't even want to be in it at all. And then they were like, no, you gotta be something. You're a name. Mm-hmm. The Rent film,
again,
they
that
were all
film didn't do great.
Yeah.
Neither did Rent. And this is directed by the guy that wrote the movie version of Rent. Let's not forget that.
The Rent film is bad, but it's another instance of these like old actors, kind of weighing it all down.
Yeah.
So I read a review and in the review they say, this is a work that will ask you to witness a grieving mother's pain, then cut to a Jim Henson Factory reject belting on the other side of the dinner table. Now, when I originally read that, I was like, okay, that's a really funny, catty dig. But then, okay, that's in that song For Forever. Because his one arm is in a cast and he uses that other arm all the time, like as his tick.
Yeah.
And you can only see the top half of his body. It really does look like he's being a Muppet.
Puppet.
Like a puppet in that scene. He's like doing this. It's so funny because I guess this happens in the show where Amy Adams is basically feeding him the lines. I was like, how does she not realize that he's making up this lie in the moment? She's like, oh, did you, the orchard, take a shot every time they say orchard in this goddamn musical. But she's like saying these lines and then he's like, oh yeah, we were in the orchard.
But she sells it so much. If it were any other actress that isn't Amy Adams, that would not fucking work at all.
He left the apple orchard, and so you two went to the orchard?
All we see is sky for forever. We let the world pass by for forever. Feels like we could go on for forever this way. Two friends on a perfect day.
I agree. I mean, that's the thing. That's the other thing. You're seeing these titans of film acting, Julianne Moore and Amy Adams, doing what they do best with this subtle, great acting. And then they're in these scenes with Ben Platt, who's like,
and well, no.
Like, and everyone's just acting like, yeah, that's normal. That's just normal. Like,
he's just a weird kid.
He's just a weirdo.
Yeah.
And
do we really think Caitlin Dever would date this guy? I don't mean to be that person, but
no.
When they were doing their duet Only Us, I was like, you get your hands off of her. I was like, you touch her. My friend took me to a screening of Booksmart a few years ago, and I got to meet her, and I didn't really know who she was. And then, I saw the movie, and, she was like so sweet, and she was really great. I thought she sounded good. I liked her. I liked their Requiem song. I thought that was the only time you got to hear Amy Adams sing. So I thought that was good.
I think Requiem and Sincerely Me are the only scene and songs that feel like they're using the medium of movie musical properly. Both of them
Yeah.
felt like
Yeah.
proper song numbers, where everything else is like, let's just shoot Ben Platt singing.
Yeah, really. And then sometimes, again, like sometimes just cutting to him running around that flippin' tree.
Oh, and then when they did the one song by
Oh,
Alana.
okay,
or
wait.
whatever,
The new song.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but like they shot it the same way as all the Ben Platt songs.
I bring up the anonymous ones and what it replaced, because that is one of the few full-on replacement songs.
Okay, please.
So, there used to be a song in the musical that is something that it could only work in theater, and I do desperately miss it in the movie. So Connor shows up to Evan quite often as a character in his own way, like this ghost haunting him, being like, like
I was waiting for that I wanted that.
That would have been
I
way
did
more
too.
interesting.
He's like this devil on his shoulder, like, you're bringing me back to life. Like how in Heathers, where it's like, you kind of get to see Connor's experience, and basically he's kind of the one that forces Evan to come to terms with the fact that he didn't fall out of a tree and all that. So he and Evan, Connor's ghost and Evan, grow a relationship as the show goes on. And yeah, it's implied it's just a figment of his imagination, but it's such an effective theatrical story.
Yes.
But imagine how much more you kind of get it when you have Connor being like, yo, it's fine. Go talk to my parents. Go hang out with them. Get my name out there. Like, you feel that. As much as Amanda Stenberg is very good in the movie, they just kind of are like, we're all kind of sad, so we should all do this. And that would not drive me to give a speech as much as the ghost of the dead kid that I'm talking to literally being like, yeah, go ahead. You got to keep my name alive.
Yeah,
and
seriously.
And then they just, the anonymous ones was just the opening scene again.
Yes.
But from Alana's perspective.
Hilarious.
And you were like, I just was like, well, this feels lazy. And I also just hated the phrasing of anonymous. I hate that. It's like that Katy Perry song, Unconditional. It's like, that's not how you say anonymous. Anonymous. I don't like it.
The inflection is not on that part of the word.
No.
But the song that they cut was called Disappear, where the chorus is literally, no one deserves to be forgotten, no one deserves to disappear, which is the same meaning as the anonymous ones, which is no one should be anonymous. They
just want to get that sweet, sweet Oscar original song.
But
nonsense.
It also frames Alana as the villain of the story in the end.
Yeah, does that happen in the show?
It does, but Alana's such a nothing character in that stage show. She is like a fame-grabbing kind of person where she's like, I want to be the president of everything. I want to do this. Oh, I didn't know Connor, but we had very close acquaintances, and like would always try to grab. She was doing the same thing Evan was doing, except much more for a joke.
And Alana's the only POC character in the stage show.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a bad look,
Mm-hmm.
but it feels like it's just her being like, oh, you get her like try hard attitude where leaking the suicide note was more like, we got to do the thing. Come on, we got to do the thing. And here it's kind of like
in the movie, it's like we got to meet our goal for the freaking orchard.
Yeah, there was not a scene where she's like, oh, I shouldn't show this to everyone. And Evan's like, please don't show it to everyone. Only the family knows. She's just like, yeah, it would help. Come on, I posted it. Whatever.
Yeah, so, it was literally the next scene too. Like he was like, here you go. I'm proving it to you. Don't show it to anyone. And then she went, okay.
What she should have done is like pull it up because he obviously had a picture of it. Hey, look at this. All right, give me my phone back.
Yeah, right,
exactly. Why'd you need to send it to her?
Never leave a paper trail. Yeah, you dumb kids.
It kind of reeks of like the screenwriters going, well, we have to prove that we're not racist. And prove that, our only POC character, well, now there's two because they changed Jared. Is, a more fleshed out character. But then, let's just make her the bad guy or the villain.
I think it was going along
antagonist
with,
almost.
They were making a lot of those characters way more palatable. Just in general, they were just sort of taking everybody and trying to make them less gruesome.
And horrible.
I also think it's weird how seemingly fast the family is like kind of getting over Connor. It's like a week has
Evan,
gone by
you're
or
our
something.
son now.
And then Amy Adams is like, "Oh, I don't know what we're gonna do with his room. I haven't thought about it." I was like, "He just died. Like, what are you? This is weird."
There is the implied passage of time between Act 1 and Act 2,
Okay.
where you don't really get that as much in the film, where it's just like, oh, the cast comes off and all that. It's a nebulous amount of time in the stage show, where it could be weeks, it could be months, it could be whatever.
Oh,
Yeah.
is that is that supposed to be represented by the time that the Evan and Zoe are dating? Because that felt like a
Yes.
little bit of passage of time to me.
When they're at the
Yes.
carnival.
Yeah, because like a Kickstarter takes like a month or something, right? And then all of a sudden there's only 2 days left. So I guess that kind of
Right.
makes sense.
It doesn't make that much sense. in
I
my,
mean,
like,
in a
brain.
hackneyed
Like-
sort of way, I guess.
It felt like a few weeks, but then
Yeah.
like I guess it was longer, and then all of a sudden he was graduating.
Oh yeah.
From in the song Only Us, was that like the consummation of their relationship in your opinion, or had they been a thing a little before that? Because in the musical they had been a thing for like a while.
No, I
before
felt
the
like
song
it felt
Only
like the
Us.
big reveal. She was like, "I like you. I want, we."
Yeah. Whereas
To me,
they
it
had
was
already
like,
been
"This is where it's
dating.
starting." Oh.
Like the beginning of that song is like when she's like, I just don't want to talk about my brother every time we're talking. He's like goes like, oh, you're gonna break up with me. I don't want to break up with me. She's like, nope, just don't want to talk about my dead brother. Oh, and also, here's the other cringy part about earlier in the musical where he kisses her without her consent. They were in Connor's room when that happened. So he's literally sitting on her dead brother's bed and tried to kiss her.
Turn away, Gerald. Turn away. Turn away.
Children watched this and found emotional connection.
Oh, okay. Wait. I want to know. In the stage show, is there any kind of ensemble, or is it just a small core of like 10 actors who are just always?
There is like, I'd say you have the core like 6-ish actors, and then you have the high school group behind them.
Are there
Which is
more
about
ensemble? Is there more ensemble choral involvement in the show? Because in the movie, it was literally "You Will Be Found,"
Yeah.
and maybe some like Oz in waving through a window. And I was like, "Is there an ensemble in this show?" And
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't get
just
it.
they are physically present, but not there outside of really "You Will Be Found."
Okay.
Wow. What a terrible show for the high school.
Yeah.
Oh my
It,
gosh.
it really, especially now that you told me about the Connor Ghost thing, it's like this trend that was started with Next to Normal. This like, let's put an indie movie about mental health on stage, and let's use the theatrical element of like a ghost figment of the imagination character reacting to the human characters. And it like bores me. And maybe this movie just made it more boring to me, because like, again, this same moment over and over, just the same thing of people just sitting on a couch and singing about grief. And I guess that's valuable to some people, because obviously these shows are big hits and people love them. But and I hate to be the kind of person who's like, my kingdom for like a tap break, but I get so bored. Oh, and the other thing is everyone's voice sounds the same in those shows too.
True.
They're all this same tenor
true.
voice. The adult men all sing in the same tenor voice.
Even the stepdad kind of used the same style of singing.
same
like,
style.
It's so weird.
Carnegie Mellon voice.
Yeah, right. Pace Kids, like it's just all the same voice, and so that also kind of bothers me too. It's just like I'm just hearing the same thing over and over again, and that might be a personal taste thing, but I'm tired of it. I need an up tempo in there sometimes, just a couple,
And
something.
a baritone, please.
A baritone, anything. Throw my baritones a bone, baby.
Yeah.
Give
Yes.
Patrick Page more work.
Yeah.
Did you guys feel the missing song about a baseball glove?
I sure did. I was like, there's going to be a song about a baseball nothing. And I love Danny Pino. I loved him on SVU. I think he is like a very handsome man. I could watch him forever. He's like chiseled. And he was good.
stepsons.
He was good. But like, I was like, so there's a song about a baseball glove, I'm assuming, and they play catch.
No, it's just like, hey, Connor wasn't a good son, but you know what? You might be. It's a song. It's a very cuttable song. It's like, I did not miss it at all.
Right.
But it is a song that was cut, and I think Michael Park played him on stage, and he did fine. He was
my
fine.
God.
He was not a stepdad in the stage show. That was a movie original.
I didn't mind that either. I thought it was kind of a nice touch, I guess.
Didn't add or remove anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just a thing.
Maybe because Danny Pino is, not white. Like maybe they had to just be like, oh well, he's obviously not his dad, but it's, or I don't know,
I
had
mean,
a drama or something.
There's one line that he says that I don't know hits as hard being a stepdad, but you didn't quite know the context until later, where it's like he came in when they were 3, where he's like, I gave you the world, you threw it away. That kind of hits hard when it's like, I don't know why that's like felt weird, thinking he was a stepdad that came in much later, but then having the context later kind of made me like, oh, okay, that's fine.
What did you think of Julianne Moore?
She's nothing in this. Like,
She's
Rachel
nothing
Bay
in this.
Jones has a presence despite not being on stage very much in the musical. And I don't like that musical. Rachel Bay Jones, I think she won a Tony for that role, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you would
Good
not
supporting
believe it.
actress role. Like you come in and you like kind of steal the show when you're there and you don't overstay your welcome.
Your truck.
Oh yeah.
Truck.
Cody loved that when she said truck. I was like, I could feel Bob Balaban and Waiting for Guffman being like blay, where you really hear the blay. Like I could hear the vocal director there going, well, really lean into the truck there.
Make
like,
it 2 syllables. Truck.
There's not another truck in the driveway. But they cut that character's really big number, which probably won Rachel Bay Jones the Tony, Good for You, where everyone just yells at Evan and is like, you've used me. Alana's like, you took advantage of me. Jared's like, you took advantage of me. And his mom's like, so you got what you always wanted. You got your dream come true. Good for you. Go live with them.
like a damn sociopath.
It has that Paramore vibes. Or Olivia Rodrigo
Olivia
vibe. Hold on.
Rodrigo / Paramore.
I turned that into a joke somehow.
Yeah. I think that's why I like Requiem and that duet so much, is because there were so few songs that were interactive songs. It was so much Ben Platt going to that same corner of the table in the Murphys' home and sitting there while Amy Adams cries beautifully.
And everyone's forced to react.
While he's like
ticking like clock.
like going nom 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 to the scenery. And I wanted more quartets and trios and interactions, and they're just solo.
So barren.
I was bored, and sometimes when a good song that I kind of knew came on, I'd be like, but other than, and
because you can still jam to the score, it's still good music here and there, especially
so
if
many
you're
of
not
those
thinking
songs,
about
good cabaret
the
songs,
context
they're
of
great.
them.
But like I literally was like this during If I Could Tell Her and Only Us. I was holding my masked face.
We were all just cringing in our seats, like trying to get away from the movie.
Slowly, as much as we
I
could.
did. It wasn't in those moments it got me, but I'll bring up when it happens a little later, because words fail really is like make it end, and the movie gives us relief that the show doesn't give us. Can we just talk about words fail, please?
Oh my God. Well, the concept of that song itself was kind of like, get the fuck out of this house. Like, get out of this house. You need to shut up now and leave.
You need to go home.
You are, I hate you. But
it's a build-up, and they make him much less terrible in the movie because he's like going out to try to find Zoe and all that. Like, they kind of make it like he tried to stop this, where he just kind of shows up to the Murphy's house and they're already mid-fight. Like he's always invited in the musical, and they're having their fight. And then he sings the song Words Fail, and then he just kind of leaves. No one tells him anything. You don't get a reaction from Zoe. You don't get a reaction from the parents. He just kind of leaves the scene. And also...
So he just drops the mic and walks away. Like, here's your truth bomb, bye.
Yeah, because they're all just stunned into silence and don't give him anything. The movie does something very, very kind to an audience.
Wow. They let Amy Adams. She says, "I think you should leave," which I was like,
yes,
that was beautiful.
That's wonderful, and the reactions throughout the song. They also cut it in half, so he's not singing the full 5-minute song in front of them like he did in the musical.
It's a 5 minutes. Wait. Is it the continuation where he's like at the tree again?
Yes, he was originally doing that all in front of the Murphys.
He stands there for 5 minutes. I know it's a musical, but I can't believe just sitting there for 5 minutes. Shouldn't that be like your fault or something, like in a musical where they come or Goodbye Love and Rent, where the characters are like interjecting and being like, how could you do this to us?
Yes.
But they just sit there.
They just
and let
sit
him
there.
do that
Zoe
for
gives
5
him no
minutes.
reaction. They literally, after that scene, we have So Big, So Small, and then we cut to the orchard. We don't see any repercussions. Literally, he doesn't tell the internet what he did. He just is at the orchard at the end. And then Zoe's like, you made our family better and happier. And he's like, thank you. And that's how the show ended.
Wait.
What?
So there's not that whole thing of him trying to like read Connor's favorite 8th grade books?
No! Are you kidding? That feels like a very screenwriter decision to be like, how do we make this better?
I know.
Good
I
point,
know.
good point.
And first of all, he's a senior in high school. The boy pulls out his 8th grade yearbook and looks at Connor's favorite books in his 8th grade yearbook. And one of them is Ready. It's the most basic shit. It's like Kurt Vonnegut and Ready Player One.
I was like, oh, please.
And then
of course, Ready Player One.
But then it was like him contacting all these people to learn about him. It was the only song that was over it was a montage over the vocals of, I guess, Connor singing some song.
Let's bring that up for a second.
Song?
That's a brand new song. And people are like, oh, that solves the Connor issue. What the fuck are you talking about? We go into a dead kid situation. We have to Sherlock Holmes this video to do the thing that he definitely did not want to do in front of his parents, which was sing, which we set up earlier. And then we basically defy his wishes in life to not play in front of his parents, to show his parents him singing. Literally, you are ruining this kid's life even after death, Evan.
I was watching that and going, this has to be a movie conceit to make him seem like a better person, to seem like he's growing. And then the ending, he like reprises it while he's staring out at the orchard, and the underscoring does something really weird where it sounds ominous for a second. Like Evan Hansen is sitting there planning his next con. Like it was.
This is the
weird.
Harold Hill bio story.
His next gaslighting adventure.
And you know what? What you were just saying, I thought about that the whole movie. I was like, I don't care if all of these people think, that everyone's better because of this lie. Because who knows what Connor wanted? None of you knew what Connor wanted. He might hate this. He might have grown out of that flippin' orchard. Like, he might have a million different things. Yeah. He didn't like his family.
Which is why the ghost of Connor conceit was kind of helpful in that.
I mean, and you could make it work in the film. You really could. I know it's a very theatrical device, but like, people have ghosts come up in movies all the time and do that. Like, you don't even have to make it fanciful. He could just be there and then not be there.
Yeah.
And
nobody else acknowledges the Connor ghost.
And then it would be even more of a reason to kind of forgive Evan, where you're like, it's a clear manifestation of a mental health issue.
Yeah. That song, in fact, brought about new issues that I didn't even consider in a way that I thought was even more damaging to what Connor probably would have wanted. He did that in therapy.
In
rehab! As a coping mechanism. You probably don't want your parents to see that.
And you probably shouldn't be filming people in rehab.
That too.
Isn't that not legal?
I believe that's I agree. I don't think that's legal. I think it's a breach of trust.
This musical, Pascal should literally just write standalone songs. I don't know. Do they write the books for their stuff? Because the Greatest Showman book is awful, and Dear Evan Hansen is awful.
I don't know.
I know they've done more, but
if they don't write them, then whoever does write their books for their shows is just garbage.
Okay, wait.
This is Stephen Levison. That sounds right.
And so what's the deal with like the social media element of the show? Because I know that was a big thing.
Let's talk about that, because it doesn't read at all either in the movie or in the musical. Waving through a window isn't about like, feeling on the outside. The window is the fucking phone. That's what the song's about, and it's stupid.
He was standing there through a literal window.
Yeah, it's about social media and how that makes you disconnect.
And I'm
Some
tap,
boomer
tap, tapping
idealistic.
on the glass.
I hate it all.
Oh, that makes more sense.
That does
It's
make
just
more
that's not what the
sense.
show's about. Is the thing.
Okay, wait. Amanda Stenberg collaborated with Pasek and Paul to write the song.
Okay.
That sounds right.
So they had input on it and maybe gave ideas and suggestions. It's not like Taylor Swift writing that new song with Andrew Lloyd Webber
What?
for Cats.
Everyone's favorite
Wait,
song, Beautiful
what?
Ghost.
The Beautiful Ghost, the song that makes literally no sense.
Is that what it's called? Beautiful Ghost?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful Ghost, guys. Come
I
All
on.
haven't
that
heard
I
the song.
wanted
I didn't even-
was to be wanted.
I didn't even know that Taylor Swift collaborated with
She wrote the
Andrew Lloyd
lyrics.
Webber.
Yeah, she wrote it
Mhm.
5 minutes
Oh.
before it had to be performed.
Mhm.
What?
Yeah, that's why Francesca Hayward looks so lost in the scene. She just got the lyrics.
She was like, she's like, I'm a dancer.
Can we talk about Julianne Moore for another moment?
Please.
And the
Oh,
singing in
what?
general on top of this.
Yeah.
I'd say 80% of the singing was done live.
I
But
think
they
I
did
heard
not-
that too.
They did not prepare the mics for that. As someone that has had to edit a podcast with Emily Clark on it, I know a lot about mic peaking. And for that, I do want to say
Literally, my husband, like, he's so annoyed with my mic peaking. Heyo, I'm talking literally.
I want to talk about how they did not prepare a boom mic, which is not like a nice mic like this, which is preempted to take loud and softs. A boom mic is just like, yeah, capture noise point in that direction. When Ben Platt is singing, it physically hurts my ears because he is clipping the mic so much that it just is distorted audio. And they didn't fix it. And it's not just Ben Platt, Caitlin Dever, and all that.
Yeah.
But the one person that isn't singing live, and I could tell right away, is Julianne Moore. She is dubbing to a track.
I mean, they probably had to. I feel like they had to zhuzh it a little bit because she's. I don't
Yes.
think she's anywhere. I mean, she wasn't like bad, but it was the only song where I was like, I think they're doing a little.
Mhm.
Auto
It did not
tuning.
sound like her voice in the same way that like when Caitlin Dever is like going into it is like
Could have been
that's
dubbed.
just her voice, but singing. It's like I love you, Evan. And the house found
Yeah, it was
something.
like,
I was not expecting her.
Yeah, they still do that. I can't say who or what, but a friend of mine was the singing voice of a character in a movie. I can't
That's
say
right. I forgot. about
movie
that.
musical, and
Man, James Corden's voice was that bad. I didn't know.
they still do it. I mean, Marnie Nixon still exists.
Yep.
Because sometimes it's just unsalvageable. Yeah, it was weird.
And
But
it also felt like they had no idea how to shoot the truck scene. Where it's just like shot, reverse shot. Oh, Julianne's gonna nail it.
one big close up of Julianne Moore. I mean, like truck.
Well, and a lot of those scenes, though, when it was just one person singing to somebody, was like that, and it made it feel weird and awkward and boring. And especially when you would have, and Pasek and Paul love doing this, as we pointed out, repeating lines in succession.
And you're like trying to get reactions from this
we don't
person
care, we tell them,
as you're
tell
still
them.
repeating these same lines, and it's like, what else are they supposed to do? Like, just like, they are heavy. Yes. They're heavy. Yeah.
Who told the editor to cut every time he said tap, tap, tap? Like it's just like, oh, I'm having a seizure. Oh no.
Tap, tap. I did notice that the guy who was in the revival of Once on This Island was one of the jocks. That's all I know. The guy who played Daniel, played the dreamy boy.
I have no
He was
idea
one
what
of the
you're talking
jocks. He
about.
was the jock who did like the selfie in front of Connor's.
Oh my god.
Okay,
locker.
you want to have a fun time watching this movie. I'm going to write this pitch to the wonderful Stealing Focus audience. If you want to have a blast watching this movie, look at any extra during any song number where at a school. Every extra is like living their best life. And another thing, drinking game, anytime someone is walking down a hallway, center frame, drink. You will be drunk.
Yep.
So fast.
And saying Orchard. And every time, maybe every time Ben Platt does that thing, he does this, the eyes, all the time.
Or the little tick with his hand.
I really hope he's filming this
Merrily.
That's going to take decades to do.
That's so wild.
Beanie Feldstein. Come on, Beanie.
Come on, Beanie. I mean, she and Ben are besties, and you know,
Nepotism pals. Come on.
Nepotism pals, baby, and
right.
you know, Linklater, right? It's Linklater who does those those movies, and Linklater's a good director. You know, he's no Steve Chbosky or whatever.
I mean, has he done a musical? The only musical he's done is the fucking 76 trombones number from Bernie, which is great. Jack Black as Harold Hill. Yes.
I mean, I don't know. It's so funny when directors try out doing movie musicals, because sometimes it just doesn't work. I'm cautiously optimistic about Spielberg and West Side Story, only because Spielberg has always been so heightened and whimsical and romantic, and
Hook is basically a musical.
Hook is basically a musical, yeah, and he's, you know, he rides on emotion, and he's not bound by like realism.
The trailer looked really good,
but I just don't like this Evan Hansen thing where it's like, you have a musical here. Why are you shooting it like it's an indie film?
Yeah, when
you have people singing in a room. That's why it felt so ridiculous. Like, it felt silly. Whereas in like something like In the Heights, you're like, yeah, of course they're singing.
God, imagine John M. Chu who doing this movie. I feel like he could have probably made a lot of these like bad scenes work a lot better. I just am terrified that the reception and box office of this film is gonna bring some harm toward that Wicked movie that this same studio is producing. Because let's not forget the last thing they did, which was Cats 2019. They are not on
Universal,
a great streak.
baby. Universal is not on a great streak. Yeah, I agree. And like, if there's any film to like not go the Dear Evan Hansen route with, it would be Wicked. I mean,
please no.
Big green cartoony witch and
it needs
bubble
to be
fairy and talking animals. Come on.
It needs to be so sensationalized.
I want it to look like the Patience Faye scenes from In the Heights. And let's not pretend that John M. Chu doesn't know how to do live singing in a way. There's an entire one-shot take done entirely live in The Heights, like, and it works, and you don't even notice it. So I'm hoping that the studio doesn't like, all right, we need to get our hands in there to make sure this isn't a fucking mess.
And then, like, bringing it back to Evan Hansen, like, you're right, Jess, like, this really is like a double-edged sword, because on the one hand, there's a lot of stuff that they fixed. Then there's other new problems that they created. And then how much can you really fix when you've got this inherent problem with the story and with the casting of the lead, who's in every single frame, and he just looks completely out of place amongst all these other characters. You just it really is just like a Muppet amongst humans. Like, we're just not going to acknowledge this. We're not going to talk about this.
I'm just a normal high school boy.
Andrew Barth Feldman. There's a lot of talented kids out there.
Jordan Fisher, like, all these people who've played the part and look younger and are younger.
I'm not gonna lie, Ben Platt's not even the best Evan to be playing the role on stage. He's not even top 5.
Yeah. So what's our final thoughts on this Dear Evan Hansen film, Cody and Gerald?
We give it a D.
For Dear Evan Hansen. And we like the songs for the most part, but it's garbage. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Jess, what about you?
I feel like I got my arm broken, honestly. I give it a D for Caitlin Dever. Watch it for her.
Yeah, watch it for the Dever.
I mean, it's a lot of good moves, and the good moves also makes it boring. At least when I watch the stage show of Dear Evan Hansen, I'm like, holy shit, we did this? We're doing this?
Right. The cat's effect, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna agree with you guys. This is not great. It's probably not the worst movie musical, but in that sense, it's almost not even fun to watch. It's just boring. Yeah. Boring, and then like skin crawly. I think it's gonna go down in history as one of like the worst castings in history in film history. So
but I think that a lot of the critics are overstating how terrible this is. This isn't a god-awful movie. No. This is a highly competent movie with some great performances. I don't think it deserves a or no, I think it's like at 32% on Rotten Tomatoes right now.
Ooh.
I
That's
don't
pretty
think
low.
I think it's
deserves that.
in like maybe the 60s or something.
Yeah,
like that.
it's no worse than the last 5 years movie with Anna Kendrick. Like, it feels like right in that, like, you tried.
Yeah, I mean, again, it just kind of boring. Like, I just kind of zoned out sometimes, and I was like,
Same.
okay, here's the next scene, here's the next scene. Like, it's just boring.
Well,
You'll have more fun with your friends watching Cats 2019. I'd say.
Definitely.
Thanks, Jess, for being with us. Do you want to plug your stuff for us?
Yes, I have a podcast called Musicals with Cheese with me and my friend Andrew, where I try to show him musicals and convince him that they're great once a week. 160 episodes in, we're almost there. I also have another podcast with someone that looks fairly familiar to right here, called Dear Friends, where me and Emily are dear friends, and Gerald and Cody have been guests on that. So if you like this, go listen to that episode. It's a ton of fun.
It's a ton of fun, yes. Yeah, you can check out Dear Friends and Musicals with Cheese anywhere you stream your podcasts. And of course, we are Cody and Gerald and Emily from Stealing Focus, and we do musical theater history and reviews. So make sure you're subscribed and you like the video and call to action.
Ding the bell.
Hit that bell icon,
Hit the
smack
bell icon.
those comments.
Tap, tap, tap on the glass. Wave through the window. And you will be found. Right
We didn't even
here.
talk about that scene. Oh my god.
Oh,
You
God.
will be found. Hey, if I was gonna sing a Pasek and Paul ballad at someone's memorial, I'd probably go viral too.
I'd
Okay,
sing
everybody.
Sincerely Me.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for watching, everybody, and go outside and read a book.
Don't fall from
Go
the
see a
tree.
tree. I'm gonna
see
take
a
a picture of the most amazing tree. You'll
Yeah,
be
Just a picture, though.
by my forest
in
expertise.
the orchard. Take a drink.
Drink orchard.
Where's my chocolate milk?
Bye.
This was fun.